is first breakfast. This is what I call my first breakfast. What you're going to need is warm water, not boiling water, just warm enough. You don't want to destroy the honey. Your next ingredient, honey, teaspoon or so. It's up to you. Honey is excellent for your immune system, especially when you take it locally. Because your local honey will have been made from bees who harvest the local pollen, which means that if you have seasonal allergies to the local pollen, you will be exposed to that local pollen through the honey in a mild way. It will stimulate your immune system to that pollen, and you will have a natural boost to your immunity. And besides, honey is natural, it's all good, it's the food of the gods, and it is the basis of this delicious mixture. So just that in there a little bit. Next, cinnamon to taste. That's up to you and your own tolerance levels. You'll get to know how much you like to take. Cinnamon is good for you. It's a natural spice. It's good for the blood. Next is going to be half lemon. And finally, some olive oil. Now I keep 2 bottles of olive oil in my kitchen going all the time. One for flavor, this nice, beautiful, light-tasting olive oil. And I built up my olive oil stock over the years by buying it on sale, rotating it through. Whenever there's some nice, light olive oil for sale, I buy it and fill the bottle. Okay, now we will blend it. And voila, first breakfast. Beautiful immune boosting boost. Boosting boost. And of course, you've got some olive oil in there, so that's some beautiful protein to get your day going. All right. Well, as you can tell, I made this first thing in the morning and I'm a little tired, but this will get my day going. This has been First Breakfast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. This is second breakfast. This is the second breakfast I have pretty well every morning. It really is very healthy and very simple to make. And I especially like it in the summer because it also helps for dealing with my weeds. Obviously, these are boiled eggs. I prefer my boiled eggs to be boiled for 7 minutes. That gives me a nice soft boiled egg, because I like my eggs runny. Now, once the eggs are boiled, I quickly give them a cool down in some water and peel them, and then I will put them with a little bit of butter and toss them in the butter, and then put some pepper, cracked pepper, and a bit of salt for flavor. The salt is up to you. And some turmeric powder. The turmeric powder, along with the cracked pepper and a fat medium, a healthy fat medium, together activates these 3 items to give you a really good healthy benefit. Especially the curcumin in the turmeric needs the fat and the black pepper together to give you the full health effect. Now, of course, I have this with a black cup of coffee, and for some reason the taste combination of the turmeric, the black pepper, a pinch of salt, and the butter and the eggs, the runny eggs and the black coffee all together is just absolutely sensational. Coffee, that is, if you can still afford it at today's prices. So whenever I do boiled eggs, I have these handy things that I found. There's various different types that you can find out there. These little basket holders for your eggs. You don't need to use them, they're just very handy. Now I find if I get my water up to boiling, hard boil, sometimes you will get some eggs, especially if you're buying large eggs that are basically the cheapest ones you can find on the shelves. They have some additional little subsurface cracks in them. And in order to keep your eggs from cracking from the sudden exposure to heat, what I will often do is, just as I start seeing some bubbling action happen in my water, I'll just remove it from the heat and let it chill down just for a couple of seconds. You can pretty well tell. I mean, if you had a rolling boil, you might have to wait 15-20 seconds or so. But that's just, you know, if you don't mind getting your water dirty and all full of eggs and runny eggs and stuff. So here we go. Oh, there we go. We didn't actually break our eggs in the boiling water. Excellent. So now we'll just let that boil. I will be using the rest of this boiled water to kill some weeds and other places I don't want stuff growing in my garden or on my property. It's a freaking easy way to get rid of your weeds. All right. Now, the easiest way to stop the cooking process is to change the temperature. Just drop it down in some non-boiling water. Easy to handle now, not too hot. And that is it. Second breakfast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. This is Second Breakfast. Welcome to Second Breakfast, a stream of consciousness that fills part of the gap between the no answer period and Blazing Cat for Fridays. We are streaming on 3 platforms, Rumble, X, and YouTube, so please give us a like, thumbs up, and follow, and share, and subscribe. Most of all, the chat is up across all 3 platforms, so please feel free to ask anything. Comments drive the algorithm when I'm not driving it down with my forbidden words. This veteran appreciates your support. Please visit my channels and share. I hope you're already having a wonderful morning, and we are ready to face the day with the hope of love of your fellow man, especially today on a Sunday. And every day, I like to start my days with thanking my higher power for my health and for my wealth and for my life. And when I say wealth, I don't mean monetary wealth. I mean the wealth that is in my life that is given to me by my friends and my family, the reality of my existence that has been so far to this point. And this wealth that I have is because I have learned to connect with my higher power, and I hope that you can too. Just remember that when you pray, pray for others, ask help for them. And when you pray for others, just don't only pray for those that you know and love, but pray for those that you don't, because it would help you to understand them better and reduce some of that anger that you probably have that you don't need because it is a parasite on your psyche. And as always, give thanks, pray for others, and ask for help. And then do your own personal prayers if you have those. And if you have difficulty connecting with a higher power, then maybe someday you will. Just remember, there's no need to prove that God exists. It really is upon those who fail to connect that seem to prove otherwise. All right, let's move on to our first story. And of course, as we are Sunday, it's good to perhaps have this nice message from somebody who has been able to reconnect back with their family. Tony Oleanic, also known as Anthony. We will listen to his message and then we will remind you who he is.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be together here with my son.
Yes, it's such a glorious time. I'm still just living in this surreal kind of moment. So it's been quite overwhelming, but again, so blessed. Again, we got to thank God for all this. This is his doing, his marvelous work. Just how he's brought so many of us together. To me, it's still every day. It blows my mind how amazing that really is, for him to unite so many people, complete strangers, into family. And so I got so many family members out there. Now you guys are all a part of my immediate family. You've been through it with me, through the thick and thin of it all. I mean, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for that. That really helped me out big time. And I believe it's all God's work, as we all know. He's the greatest leader of all. And so I just want to say I'll be out eventually to go and kind of tour around and visit you guys. I do have a 10 o'clock curfew, so I can't go really too far. So I got to kind of just keep it on the down low for now and see how it all goes and visit some few people. I plan on maybe doing a little work here too, and I got lots of stuff to do around the farm and tidy up and like that. So I'm going to kind of be doing that. I went for a drive today with Mom, and we're just nice to be driving again. First time in 4 years, as you know, and I didn't crash the truck, so that's a good thing. But yeah, we had fun, Mom and I. So yeah, we're going to just hang out here for a bit. And Max and Duke are, boy, they're sure grown up since I've last seen them, obviously. So I got to spend some time with them. They're kind of a little bit of a brat, so I need to whip them into shape.
They're spoiled.
They're spoiled, yeah. So, yeah, they need some, a little bit of discipline there. But anyways, so I love you guys again. God bless you all.
Yeah, we love
and,
you.
yeah, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
So, as Odessa Orlerick says here, liberal government political prisoner Tony Olenek is finally out of jail after 4 years. And when we say political prisoner, we're saying this for a reason, because for the reasons that he was imprisoned, there is a two-tier justice system in Canada. And if the government doesn't like you, they will violate ethics, of course, like they always do, and punish their political prisoners more than they punish their favorite immigrants, let's say. Or let's just talk about how natives are treated in our justice system as well. We have a racist justice system in Canada, a bigoted justice system that really gives out punishments based on feelings and not the law. Of course, judicial people will say, oh no, we're following the law. Well, no, because if we just look at the facts, we know that some people are being treated more differently than others. Some people are always more equal than others when it comes to cultural Marxism. We do have cultural Marxists in charge of Canada. Now, to remind you who Tony Olenek is, here's a story from June 24th, 2024, on by Rebel News on the Coots trial update, as he was one of those people being tried. Jurors view interrogation footage of Anthony Olenek after arrest. And if we go down here, the story that's been put in here by Krajcik, you can see that some of the interviews that they said, you don't seem like a dangerous person by any means, the RCMP interviewing officer says to Anthony Olenek in the 2022 video after previously describing Olenek as a society builder as opposed to a society destroyer. Here it is in quotations, and now we're saying this is Olenek saying this. I'm sacrificing everything to stand for freedom, stand for God, stand for love, Olenek says to RCMP. Interviewing officer, he adds, if we don't stand up to this, our kids have no chance with this. They are not going to fight this. And here we are 4 years later. He's been released from jail. And he's not the only political prisoner. Remember, we have Marilych, Chris Barber, also being punished under house arrest for their participation in a legal protest that was crushed illegally by the Liberal government, illegally using the Emergencies Act to violently suppress a peaceful demonstration. And of course, as a fallout of this, you still have people being treated like political prisoners. Why? Because the Liberals will not let go of this situation. They still think they are right. And they have promised to use violence again against Canadian citizens should they fall afoul of their political intentions. I mean, the political intentions of the Liberal Party, because they will not stand for dissent. And they have proven it quite effectively in their use of the judicial system and the police to suppress and violently suppress Canadians. This is the country we live in. This is not the country we had before 2015. And now the use of intimidation, coercion, violence, calling people names, this is all normal now because of liberals in our society. Their brains are broken. So following up, here's a wonderful little statement. Let's listen to this from Florida.
The Florida Department, but what I'm most
Can we get some
excited
sound
about
on this? Where's the sound? Where's the
is
sound?
an announcement that we're going to make, that we're making now, which is that the Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the governor, is going to be working to end all vaccine mandates in Florida law. All of them. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Yeah. Yeah. Every last one of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Every last one of them is wrong and drips with disdain and slavery. Okay? Who am I as a government or anyone else, or who am I as a man standing here now to tell you what you should put in your body? Who am I to tell you what your child should put in your body? I don't have that right. Your body is a gift from God. What you put into your body, is because of your relationship with your body and your God. I don't have that right. Government does not have that right. They want you to believe they have that right. And unfortunately, they've been successful. They've been successful.
Isn't that true? Isn't that right? Especially here on a Sunday, reminding everyone that our body is a temple given to us by our higher power. And how we treat our own temple is how the results will come. Not everyone is born with a healthy body. Not everyone stays healthy. But one thing is for sure is that more and more studies have been coming out in dealing with what the risk-benefit analysis is by injecting things into your body. And the results are on the box or in the little foldout that comes in the box with the injection fluid, right? If you read it and you go all the way down and you come to the risk-benefit analysis portion, it will give you what can happen to your body as a side effect of taking this treatment, this medicine. But they never tell you about that when they push it. Those that are pro-treatment, the ones that continue to ignore the effects, especially here in Canada, where we have a failed vaccine injury support program, right? I mean, if the doctors are going to say, well, and you see these commercials all the time. Well, you're over 50. Maybe it's now time to start talking about insert vaccine name here. Why does a big pharmacy company need to flog their medicine? I mean, if the medicine actually worked and people didn't need to be concerned about it, they wouldn't need to advertise it. It doesn't make any sense. Why? Who advertises? Well, it's people that are trying to sell you something, right? It's people that want you to consume something. You do advertisement to the consumers, not to patients. It's very strange. It's a very strange world we live in. This is a very nice announcement here. I think I will cover this again tomorrow during the no answer period. It's a nice little video for that audience to watch. Now, let's move on to what's been coming out in the news, which is the Epstein files. Yes, one name we haven't seen any Epstein files when it comes to senior leaders in Canada's Parliament. We have not seen the Conservative Party leader's name in these documents. But we have seen other names in there, like here's Keir Starmer apparently. According to this post here, he's saying that Keir Starmer profited from the abuse and trafficking of children. In other words, he was involved, he says, and he posts a picture here. Now, I'm not sure if this is true. Apparently, these documents have been released, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh my goodness, there's a lot of horrible stuff in here." And I mean, some of the other accusations are talking about, cannibalism, dismemberment of young children. It's rather disgusting, and but people are clamoring. Well, if these documents are true, how come there's no arrest yet? Remember, these are the documents that Pam Bondi has been sitting on. Now, of course, she's got a big staff. She's got a lot of stuff to do. If you listen to some of the various pundits on the U.S. side, they said she's working as fast as she can. Other pundits are saying, oh, she's taking a little grift on the side to slow down some other prosecutions that are happening. I don't really care because it's in the U.S. I'm more concerned with what is happening in Canada. Right, so why do I bring up Keir Starmer? Well, because he's not the only prime minister that's in these documents. Yes, apparently, congrats to Prime Minister Mark Carney for making it into the Epstein files. Um, yeah. Well, there was already pictures out of him at a garden party with his wife and Ghislaine Maxwell of the Epstein fame. A garden party that was hosted there by his wife's sister at a property they used to have out in the UK where they have an annual festival. And sure, people have been seen in public with lots of people that turn out to be criminals in the past. And it doesn't mean that they're actually participating with these people, but you have to wonder, why is this particular person here, our current prime minister, being mentioned so many times in the Epstein files? Hmm? Now, if you look over at David over at Moose on the Loose, you could check out his moose chart, and you can go down and find some cross-referencing when it comes to funding in communist China between Trump's son-in-law, uh, Jared Kushner, and from there you can start to make links with everyone else associated with Brookfield, and eventually you start making other links that ends up over here into the Epstein files. It's rather disturbing that, what's most disturbing is that, of course, our mainstream media will not be covering any of this, right? Because they've just recently announced, and this was announced by one of the conservative MPs at the convention on the weekend, that the press has pretty well gotten together and says, "Don't worry, Mark Carney, we got your back." Well, of course, they got their back because, as I always like to remind them, that in Canada, we have Qualified Canadian Journalism Organization, a benefit that the Liberals have set up so that they can keep control of the media in Canada. This funds each journalist, each member of that media's organization from 27 to 30 grand per year. That's your tax dollars funding the media, the same media that has come out and said, "Go read Mark Carney, we got your back." Now, this quote that was quoted by this member of parliament at the convention hasn't been found yet online, hasn't been found yet anywhere as other than that there are witnesses saying that this has been said. But it's not surprising because we can just see how they do their coverage. We've seen how they do their coverage because they're constantly talking about things that are not Canadian in Canadian news, while they could be talking about actual Canadian things in Canadian news. I mean, why is the CBC daily covering stories about ICE in the United States? We have plenty of things happening here in Canada. Why are they spending so much ink on this all? Well, that's because they need to continue the mega anti-Trump narrative so that he continues to live rent-free in Canadian citizens' heads. Because after all, the mainstream media, the Mark Carney, "Don't worry, boss, we got your back." Now, this Talib Nur Mohammed here is who is this person? He's got a government check. So he's probably a liberal. Yes, he is. He's a liberal MP. Can we look at who he is? Your Liberal MP for Vancouver Granville, Parliamentary Secretary, Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation, ex-tech CEO, community leader. Oh, yes, yeah. Notice a lot of the people on the left, they're always like community this, community that, community organization, community agitator. They're always something, but they're not really representing you, are they? So let's see what Talib says here. Pierre Poilievre's speech tonight may be the best reminder of why Canadians see Nick Carney as the leader that best reflects who we are. Oh, really? Says Melanie in Saskatchewan. Well, she lays it all down, and I thought this little list here would be rather interesting to read this morning. So Talib Nur Muhammad, that is a very polished way to sneer without saying anything factual. And if liberals can be identified by one thing, it's their penchant for sneering at anyone beneath them, which lately seems to be most of the country. You say Pierre's speech proves Canadians prefer Mark J. Carney. What is actually proved is that Pierre Poilievre knows how to speak to people instead of over them, like your false prophet of change, Carney. Let's talk values, since you brought them up. Pierre built the largest conservative membership in modern history. He shattered fundraising records without billionaire fundraisers or carbon tax galas. He stays until the last chair is folded and the last hand is shaken. He donates pay raises. He flies economy. He shows up in towns your party only remembers when a camera is nearby. When he engages with ordinary Canadians, he is present and compassionate. I don't see that ever coming from you or your party. That is not branding, that is conduct. Now let's talk liberal principles over the last decade. Ethics violations, Arrive Can, SNC Lavalin, We Charity, foreign interference stonewalling, carbon taxes that hit groceries while ministers lecture families about thermostats and pretend we are imagining things. Elites enriching themselves while telling workers to transition. You don't attack Pierre because he lacks integrity. You attack him because he has it and your party no longer does. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, Melanie, but in my 61 years of living in this country, I've never seen any integrity come out of the Liberals ever since I woke up to their fuckery in my early 20s. For this line about who Canadians are, spare us the sermon. Oh, spit. Bullspit. Carney may poll better than Pierre personally, but his party polls worse than the Conservatives. That tells you everything. Canadians are not rejecting conservative values, they are rejecting liberal arrogance. Pierre can polish his likability. Your party cannot polish corruption, hypocrisy, and contempt for ordinary people. So no, Talib, this speech did not prove Canadians want Carney. It proved why your party has spent years trying to tar and feather Pierre. Not because he is wrong, because he is dangerous to you. Dangerous to a party that forgot what humanity looks like. You should sit this one out before your errant mouth gets you in hot water with your beloved lawyer-in-chief, Carney. I thought it was a nice missive. Yes, good missive to you, Mr. Talib Noor Mohammed, MP for Vancouver and Granville. Yeah, and what's going on down there in Vancouver? Yeah, how's the housing situation down there? Pretty horrific, isn't it? And another good write-up here by Sean Rickard, or Ricard. Shocking bombshell report and analysis. Now, is this recent? Ah, yes. So this is from November 27th, 2025. So let's just listen to part of this here.
Realize what he has done. Good evening, my fellow Canadians, and welcome to the final show, the coup de grace. What I have uncovered and will describe to you this evening may very well be the final blow to Mark Carney's political career. Once you realize what he has done and what he is doing, you will realize we are in a catastrophic death spiral, and he is making a ludicrous amount of money in the process. I'm going to preface this and tell you a little bit about Mark Carney because it's important information. I will keep this as simple as possible so it is easy to understand, and I will use analogies to simplify it further on the end so you can grasp exactly what has been going on. So Mark Carney championed net zero. He started GFANZ in the UK in 2019. The accumulated total of the capital access was over $130 trillion. His net zero actually started to collapse when Republican attorneys started to subpoena banks in the US over anti-competition regulations. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and so forth all exited net zero. So he championed de-risking green energy investment because there's no return on green energy. You'll be a decade to 2 decades before it's actually profitable, if ever. And this is very important because what you do is you take federal funds, taxpayer funds, you absorb all of the liability and cost to make sure that the investment succeeds, and you offer this as a guarantee so the private investors will come and invest in that project. Bloomberg announced in 2020 that Carney was the unofficial economic advisor to Trudeau. Since he is unpaid and unofficial, it does not trigger the Conflict of Interest Act, and he has complete influence over Trudeau's policy with zero consequence. So the 3 key figures are Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau, and Mark Carney. Chrystia Freeland being the finance minister. From 2020 to 2025, approximately $190 billion has been allotted to de-risk green energy investment. Now, the problem comes when GFANZ is collapsing, that $130 trillion disappears. There's only one place that you can access that kind of capital as cash on hand, and that is a country's pension fund. So through Trudeau, he created all the de-risk policy. Through Freeland, who Trudeau appointed And remember, Mark Carney is the godfather of a child. The Canadian Growth Fund is created for $15 billion, which is used to de-risk green energy investment. Stick with me here because this is very important. The public service pension has very strict regulations for investing. It is only applicable to very low risk and typically an IRR compounding return. So you can't take pension money and de-risk green energy investment, and you can't use it to invest in green energy because it's typically a net loss. However, Mark's first transition fund, Brookfield Growth Transition Fund 1, later renamed 2, has PSP pension funds and Ontario Teachers pension funds as limited partners LLPs in that transition fund. Oh, that's why that's in there. And I thought, how did he get pension funds into that transition fund? Trudeau, obviously. All the board members of the Public Service Pension and the Canadian Growth Fund are selected through a process of the Treasurer and the Finance Minister. At the end of the day, the Prime Minister gets final approval. These individuals are paid between 6 and 7 figures, and the Prime Minister can remove them at any time without cause.
The more you look into the Liberals and what they've been doing for the past 11 years, the more you discover that, yeah, they're only in it for the grift. And I just keep reminding people, $1 trillion of debt has been added to Canada's negative treasury, costing us $10 million per hour in interest debt charges, with nothing to show for it. And now, of course, the Liberals, what are they doing? They're borrowing more money to hand out food stamps because of their failed policies, because of all this grift that is going on. And by the time Canadians wake up, it's going to be too late. They're going to discover that their pensions are gone. Gone into this Ponzi scheme that he has set up. But Canadians are brainwashed by QCJO media on a regular basis every single day. They think everything is fine, except for when they're at the grocery store, or when their tax bill comes in, or when their energy cost comes in, they find out they're paying more and more each day, or every single thing that they're paying for has an additional fee added to it. It's we just passed Christmas, and some people traveled, and a lot of people didn't. The travel in Canada is so expensive because it's basically double the cost of what it used to be in 2015 because of government fees and taxes that have been added by the Liberal government. It's the first thing the Liberals did when they came in was add all these backroom fees and taxes and charges to make everything more expensive. And they started printing money like there was no tomorrow, like a bunch of drunken monkeys on meth, printing money nonstop, stuff in their pockets. And they haven't stopped, and they won't stop until they are kicked out of office. In fact, they thought they were done last year this time when Trudeau left. So many of these people that are still in now, they had already decided, oh, I'm not going to run again. Look at the polls. Then that creature Mark Carney gets back in. And the media and their propaganda machine went full tilt and then continued to demonize everyone that doesn't support Liberals as being MAGA, as being Trump supporters, as being anti-Canadian. Well, guess what, Canada? You don't have much left. Everything you've had has been pretty well racked up on a credit card. And Canada is pretty well insolvent. It just hasn't caught up yet. A lot of people say this when it comes to disaster. It was really slow, and then all of a sudden it happened. Exactly. All of a sudden it happened. All right. Well, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks all for coming out. We'll do another show tomorrow morning, and of course tomorrow afternoon, 45 minutes before the question period starts, we will have the no answer period, where we will cover the far left evil that occurs in our land before we actually cover the question period, where we keep score. By the way, we keep score of the questions being asked, the few answers that they do provide, which are usually from FBQs. That's freebie questions from Liberals to Liberals. There's usually 3 of those per session. And of course, we also keep track of all the lies. Maximum of 3. After that, it's just not really worth it. And of course, the no answers. We also keep score of those, which is mostly what you get from the Liberals, right? Because they usually have scripted answers of stuff that always seem to be boasting about their socialist band-aids that they've provided for a failed economy, thinking that at me, I'm giving you free dental. Oh, look at me, I'm giving your child free lunches in school. Oh, look at me, I'm spending this for you, or I'm spending that for you. All the while borrowing money to do it, which of course increases inflation and increases your cost of living. But spend the rest of the day in the beautiful sunshine if you have it in your part of the planet. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
This is Second Breakfast.